All right, we're live. We're live. Let me just fix that camera real quick. Get that live feed the way I want it. It's a little too far to the right. And there we go. We're good. So, what's going on, everybody? I'm Jake the Lawn Kid. Welcome back to another episode of Lawn Fires, where the fires are hot, the lawn green, and the questions are engaging. Thank you all for coming back for yet another episode. Now, it's actually been a little bit of time since we've done an episode, about 2 weeks to be exact. Our last episode we had was our Christmas episode, and basically we did their same thing, a little bit holiday theme though. So if you want to check that out, that's on the YouTube channel for you. But for those of you guys who are new here, let me just go ahead and give you the most simple rundown I can of how the show works. Basically, what you do is you write in the YouTube chat here, and I answer your questions live in real time. And on top of that, a bunch of other banter that goes on all throughout the night here. All throughout the night here for the 1 hour that we have together here on the show. And it's also a great way for all of us to take a little bit of time, take 5, if you will, in this case, take 1 hour, and reward ourselves for all the hard work we've done Monday through Friday, keeping our lawns green, putting up and taking down our Christmas lights on time, right? So having this little hour of just relaxation and being able to have a little one-on-one with you guys, it's a way to kind of reward everyone for all of the hard work that they've done this week. So enough being said. If you have any questions, please leave them in the chat, and I will get to them as soon as I can. Now, real quick, while I wait for a couple of questions to come in, I want to go ahead and talk a little bit about what I've been up to this week, and also why I haven't had an episode for 2 weeks. Well, the first thing I want to talk about why I haven't had an episode, I've been sick. So Christmas Day came around. Had a great time, Christmas Eve and day, hung out with the family. But then, of course, this whole flu epidemic or whatever that's going around, everybody caught it in my family here. And for the past 2 days after Christmas, we were all in the toilet bowl. It was pretty bad. So I'm sure you guys can imagine who've had to deal with this flu issue. But Friday wasn't able to do a show. But now I'm all better, and I'm looking forward to getting back to doing more shows. So awesome. Now, real quick, this is a little different compared to the production quality just a bit. I don't know how the webcam is. That's actually what I'm shooting on tonight. I'm shooting on a little webcam here attached to my new laptop that I got from Silverback. Appreciate it. With this topped off with another gift from Silverback, and this is a podcast microphone. So Silverback, if you're watching this, thank you. Thank you for these 2 big gifts, man. They're going to help me make big strides in 2020. I appreciate that. Great way to start off a new decade. Oh, Aiden, is it lagging? See, this is what happens. I talk and I miss these things. Aiden's giving me a hard time, so it's lagging hard now, bro. Is it? Can you guys? Is it the audio or the video that's lagging? Because if it's the video, it's probably going to be like that for a couple of minutes, and then after that, the video should sync up. So you're going to have to. I'm sorry, you're going to have to endure the bad video tonight if it's that bad. There's nothing I can really do about it at this point. I have no encoders with me. I'm doing this all myself, and because of that, might have a problem. Yeah, turf therapy, I understand. It's not the best. I did a test the other night, and I sent it to Aiden to see what he thought. And it doesn't seem like it's doing okay, but it's not the best. Nathaniel, yeah, man, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. I mean, can you guys at least pick up what I'm saying? What's good, Grace? Oh, Aiden always got that sense of community there. Love it. Is it better? As long as so listen, I'm going to be honest with you guys because I am looking to turn this into a podcast at some point. As long as the audio is good for now, I'm totally fine with that. I know this is a new piece of equipment for me, new test. I've never really had a problem, but yeah, we'll get better as we go. And also, you guys know the past couple of shows, I actually did have some help. Let me get a bite to eat here. I did have some help I had a friend coming over a couple of weeks out of every month to help me out with the show. He would bring his equipment over, and it would just give me a higher quality picture. But he unfortunately can't come over anymore. He's just jam-packed with school this semester, so we're not going to see any more of him. But we're not going to see any more of him for a while at least. I hope to get him back in here, maybe bring him on full-time one day. I don't know. But for now, it's just me doing this, so I need to figure out the best way to do it. And as you can see, I'm still learning the best way to perfect this. I'm working to get to 100%. As you can see, this is I gotta be honest with you. I'm gonna sound a little arrogant here, but this is a big improvement from last time. Like this microphone here, the audio, big difference. Because one of the biggest complaints I always got, I know I'm rambling a little bit. A lot of people are asking, a lot of complaints I got over time is just how bad the audio was compared to my videos. So I figured one way to kind of balance between the two mediums was to get a brand new microphone here. Here, let me dim these lights real quick. This is starting to turn into like the tech podcast. I don't want to do that. So audio's good. Is the video starting to sync up though? It might not sync. I get what you're saying. I don't have the strongest signal, but we'll get there. So yeah, man, we'll see what we can do. Craig, audio's terrible. Yeah, turf therapy. Yeah, I told you it's not the best. It's literally a 720p webcam that I use in my room to talk to Aiden on Discord. I'm sure he's going to be calling me right after this, complaining about the video quality. But we'll get that worked out over time. As long as you guys can hear me, we're good to go. James Morgan. Anyway, enough being said, let's get into the questions. James Morgan, I know I've been getting hammered with moss questions. I know I've been getting hammered. Can I start trying to get rid of it this winter? Yes, you can, James. There's a product that I believe Pete uses and lives and dies by, and that is going to be the Moss Out product. Now, I don't have a link for that, so you're probably going to have to do a little searching there. Just look up something. Just look up anything along the lines Moss Out, Moss product for lawns, and it should come up for you. Just make sure that when you do apply it, read the label. Label is law, as it will answer 80% to 100% of your questions. So make sure that you read it. Lawn Daddy, that would be awesome. Alexa, dim the lights. As a matter of fact, real quick, I want to go ahead and give you guys an update on my room, aka my production studio, if you will. It's because I film a lot of my videos in there now. So my room, as you guys have seen from the videos, my lighting's getting better. My camera angles are becoming a little more selective because I just have a couple of areas that I like to show off, specifically my office space and my closet wall, being able to add contrast. I watch a lot of Peter McKinnon, so I'm sure all of my photographer people would understand. But what I'm trying to do in there, is I'm trying to get the lighting better. So for years on end, I've had, let me bring it up to you. I've had this in my room for God knows how long. This is like one of those, I think, recessed light figures. I have no idea. This is basically, it was in the basement before we did any construction or anything. But this is what was in my room. And the lighting was okay, but it wasn't that great. So what I'm doing to, up the lighting in there a little bit is I'm actually putting in some can lights. So we took that out, put one in, and we still have two more that we got to put in tomorrow. So I'm really looking forward to that. And on top of that, I'm thinking about maybe getting those light bulbs that you could sync to your phone and change the colors and the brightness and all that stuff, just to kind of, make it more of a flexible space. I want fluorescent lighting for when I'm working, and I want like incandescent for when I'm trying to go to sleep and stuff like that. I'm sure you guys understand what I'm saying. So anyway, enough being said. I know I'm geeking out over here. I'm sure you guys are getting annoyed at it. A lot of you guys are like, well, this is a lawn care podcast or whatever, Jake. Why are you talking about production? Well, to be honest, it's something I'm very passionate about, as you can tell. And sometimes I like to ramble about this stuff. So anyway, enough said. Let's get into your questions, because that's what this show is all about. You guys drive the conversation. Don't forget that. Looking to thicken up my fescue lawn in the transition zone, do you recommend introducing rye for a better thickness? Project, you could do whatever you want. You could even seed with bluegrass for all I care, but that's not really something I'd recommend you do if you're just trying to remedy your existing lawn, especially bluegrass. It's very notorious for taking a long time to germinate, so not something that I would care to do. But ryegrass or more fescue in that case would be perfect for that because their growth pattern is more patchy. It's more up and down as opposed to bluegrass, which is a little more shallow, right? And more wide and spread out, which is mostly if you're trying to establish a lawn, right? So if you want to complement the thickness of your fescue, that's a yes on that. But just know that that's not the only grass type you're limited to. You can also do fescue. My buddy Pete over at GCI Turf makes a great fescue grass seed, germinates within 5 to 7 days, and within 30 days of watering, you can have a beautiful, thick lawn in no time. So that's what I have for you guys today. No. Oh my God, I almost signed off like I was doing one of my videos. What is up with me today? I think it's because I've already shot in a couple of videos with this setup, so getting a little correlation between the two. Sorry about that. Cool white LEDs for the win. James Morgan, that's right. I love cool white. As a matter of fact, that's what I did my Christmas lights with. So real quick, I want to go ahead and talk about that. Because this might be important for those of you guys who are having some warm days here in January and you're taking down your Christmas lights. This is going to be my pro tip of the day, especially for all my pro friends out there who are listening. You have professional Christmas light accounts. Listen, you guys might have a better method than I do. But for any of my homeowner friends as well who are looking to get more involved with professional quality lights, here's one piece of advice I have for you. When you take down all of your Christmas lights, especially after the first year of cutting your strands to length, which we'll talk more about in this weekend's video and way more in depth next season. I have tons more to come with Christmas lights next year. If you plan on taking your Christmas lights down, especially after your first year of doing something professional, then make sure that you label all of your custom cut strands, light strands, if you will, that you put on the roof so you know where to put them next season and you're not struggling with that when you go to take them out next spring or next winter when you do your Christmas lights. Sorry. But when you do that, it just makes things so much easier and it cuts the amount of time that you spend on it next year in half. And on top of that, just make sure you're organized. Save all your clips, save everything you can. So then that way you don't have to go buying a crap ton of stuff next season. Make sense? Okay. Sorry, I missed a few here. She's not here tonight, Mick. Sorry. Get those work lights and set them up with an umbrella to make a lighted set. FSL spotter, I've been thinking about doing that, but I honestly don't need to because I have professional studio lights. I have like 2 of them in my room, so I don't need to do the whole construction light like Peter McKinnon. I don't need to do that. Now, Aiden, on the other hand, he needs to do a little work with his lighting. I mean, it's getting there, Aiden, but need to get some foam core in there to bounce that light, point the light away from you, and get some gels. I know you said you got some gels. You need to put those to work, my brother. I might have a fix for that. Let's see. I missed a couple. Jake, is there any way you and me can get in touch? Nathaniel, yes. Email me, SullivanJacob68. I'll drop it here in the chat. See if it'll 68. Yeah, this isn't all that fast of a laptop, so I apologize about the lag. So if you want to email me, Nathaniel, my email's down there. And on top of that, if you want to DM me on Instagram, @JakeTheLawnKid, no capitals, no spaces, I'm most likely going to answer your questions. So if you want to message me those 2 ways, feel free to do so, brother. Let's talk some plans. I just read that one. Aiden, Peter plus Jake plus me equals family. Yeah, man, I love Peter. Google lights are sick, well worth the money. All right, man. Thank you. Appreciate it. I have been trying I've been having a very mild winter. Is there anything I could be doing right now in East Central Pennsylvania? Shibby, if that's how I pronounce your name, Shiby. I don't know. I'm not good with names, but there are a couple of things you could be doing right now. If you're in the 40s and 50s and the ground is soft and pliable, malleable, whatever you want to call it, and there are two things you could do right now. Number one, get your Christmas lights down if you haven't already. And when you do get them down, put them away. Make sure you label everything meticulously, like I talked about a couple of minutes ago, so that it's easier to pull out next season. Take advantage of this warm weather and get that done so you don't have to deal with it in the spring when everybody else has their lights down and yours are still up. So make sure you're ahead of the game that way. Now, on top of that, as far as we're concerned with the grass, there are a couple of things you could do. Number one, if you have had snow, you've had some cool weather, maybe you haven't been able to get out on the lawn for a couple of weeks because it's been very cool and it's been very cool, dry, and snowing all the time. Maybe you have some trees that didn't finish dropping leaves. You get the idea, right? You need to get out there and do a little maintenance. So if you have any areas that are just matted and laying over, maybe get out there with your rake those areas up. Make sure you stand them up because, as I always say, airflow is key. So make sure that you maintain proper airflow, and you'll have the healthiest lawn on the block. And on top of that, if you do have any leaves on the lawn, there are a couple of things you could do. Number one, like I said, use the ability of raking to also get the leaves up. You can bag them up, mulch them, whatever. Just make sure that you clear the lawn of any leafy material in either one of those ways, and you should be fine. So that's one way that you can at least take advantage of this warm spell that we're having. So I hope that was helpful. Let's continue on with more questions. This pad. I still have my Christmas lights up until January 12th. Jake, Craig A, I know there's 12 days of Christmas, albeit I think January 12th is a little bit late. But what I would recommend to you, and this is just me talking, you can do whatever you want. The next warm day you get, whether it's before or after January 6th, as close as possible, get those lights down. Stay on top of it. I'm coming to you from the same perspective. I like to leave my lights up a little longer than most people. In fact, I took mine down just today. And the reason I did that was because this is actually the last warm day, or at least one of the last warm days we're going to get before I have to go back to school and start doing more work there. So I wanted to make sure that I got that done before I finished my winter break. So yeah, Craig, to each his own, though. I'm not critiquing you. Video tech is helpful to me. I need to learn about it. Maureen, I'm glad you like it. Maybe I should start doing behind the scenes as to how I get ready for these shows. Have you used the Milwaukee M18 quick lock string trimmer system? Alex N, I have not, so I can't give any feedback there. I have demoed a few of them at the GIE Expo in years past, and I have nothing but good things to say about them. Seems like a very powerful, well put together unit, very comfortable. Other than that, though, I can't speak much on it because I've never really done an in-depth demo on an up-to-date battery-powered string trimmer, so I can't help you there. I'm sorry about that. Let's keep going. What's new planned for 2020? Project Garage. We got a couple of things. For one, I'm not going to say any more than this, but I'm going to be partnering full-time with a company that we all know and love here on the channel. That's all I'm going to say. More details on that soon. They're not official yet, but all I can tell you right now is that 2020 is going to be all about collaborations. And this partnership, I've been working with these guys for a long time, and I'm really looking forward to our partnerships in the 2020 season. More to come on that later. Do you recommend top dressing with sand on cool season lawns? Lawn Daddy, I'm not an expert on top dressing, but based on what I know, there's nothing wrong with using sand on a cool season lawn, because if you have clay in there, it's a nice way to kind of add a little bit of a different material. But on top of that, you can also level the ground much faster because sand seeks its own level when you get it wet, right? So when typically sand pellets, when they're dry, they're all grainy and they get all over everything. But when you get them wet, when you get those grains wet, they're going to stick together and they're going to seek their own level, making it easier to level over time. As a matter of fact, if you want more content on top dressing your cool season lawn, especially if you're real mowing your lawn, then I highly recommend you go out and check out my buddy Connor Ward. Connor Ward, as you guys know, he is the king and the founder of, well, I like to call him the founder or innovator, really, because he's the one who really made real mowing popular here in the community. So if you don't know who he is, I'm sure a lot of you guys do, but for those of you noobs out there, highly recommend look him up, Connor Ward on YouTube, man. He's got a beautiful lawn. I'm very envious of it. And he cuts it at like 5/8 of an inch. So golfers type lawn, something I really like. I'm sure you'll like it. I have it and love it. Roof, not rough, bro. Whatever, Aiden. Can you sign to me, Jake? Still not much audio. You guys can't hear me? Is everything all right? Having any technical difficulties on my end? Let's see. Yeah, Connor is funny. Can you guys hear me? All good? Okay. Yeah, people are probably just screwing with me. I don't know. Maybe, you know what I like? A lot of people who tell me that my audio is bad forget to turn the volume up on their phone. It's the funniest thing. All right, let me go back up. I had a few good questions here I want to go through. About weed spraying, ready to go with my battery-powered YT25, Y25 TE, I forgot what it's called. Spraying dandelions and clover all over the yard. So going to do a blanket spray. I have the weed killer. Sure. So you want a blanket spray. Well, real quick, before you think about blanket spraying, Maureen, I believe we've been over this, but it's been a while. How severe is the weed cover? Is it consistently terrible, meaning you have like heavy, dense weed competition in the lawn that consistently takes over the entire area, but not completely? Or is it very small, like that you can get away with spot spraying? Because if it's that bad, sure, you can spot spray, but just make sure that when you do the mix in the actual application that you apply according to label directions. Make sure you wear your safety equipment, all that stuff. Label is law, answers all your questions. Jake, you talk a big game. Okay, Aiden. So do you. Surfactant and blue marking. Do I use the wide fan tip for that kind of spraying to cover the lawn? But now if you're doing a blanket application, the wider fan tip would actually be helpful. As a matter of fact, it'll also speeden up the application a little bit. Because I talked about this in a video last year where I talked about calibrating your sprayer. One thing I talked about in particular in that video is that the wider the nozzle, the more gallons per minute, the more flow rate you're going to get coming out of the nozzle, which is going to allow you to cover more area in less time. So if you're going to do a blanket application, which assuming that your weeds are bad based on what you're telling me, yes, wider nozzle would be better, but just make sure that if you are going to use that for anything else, that you rinse it out really good. Or in my case, keep the herbicides separate from the fertility products. That's the best way to go. So if you have a couple of sprayers on hand, I probably wouldn't use your big one if you don't need to. Just split it up. Split it up, because the last thing you want to do is cross-contaminate. Got it? Okay. Benjamin ZBT. Can't wait to get this expander out. Yeah, you know what? As a matter of fact, I'm considering it. I have my 2,000 square foot plot here. I'm thinking about eventually starting to take the height of cut down a little lower. And I'm thinking about real mowing it. Now, I'm not going to do that to the entire lawn because you know me, I love the taller, traditional lawn type look. So that's just something that I've had for quite a while. Don't want to get rid of that. So what I am going to do though is I'm just going to go ahead and do this section here because it's manageable, it's small, it's the showpiece, right? And I love to experiment with the showpiece because of all the area I have there, and it's perfect shape and all that. So I think that's where we're going to do that. Stay tuned. With temps being in the 50s here in Ohio, would liquid aeration be okay to put down? Johnny Palma? Yeah, man, go ahead. It's only going to help. As a matter of fact, while we're still on the topic of spraying lawns when they're dormant, like I mentioned earlier, as long as the ground is soft and pliable, and as long as the ground is soft and pliable, this is a great time to start thinking about soil application. So good example of that would be like the Humic 12, right? As I've talked about before, I'm a huge advocate of spraying soil-oriented products like the Humic 12 as they are chelator. They're going to make nutrients more readily available to the plant. And on top of that, they're also going to work in building a better structure, if you will, a better soil structure for the plants. So by means, my friend, go for it. It's only going to help. Any advice for wild Bermuda in my fescue lawn? Project Garage, it's not something I have dealt with, if I'm going to be honest with you, but I do have a recommendation for you. My buddy Pete over at GCI Turf, he's doing a whole renovation series at his shop, and this season, he actually went ahead and killed off the existing Bermuda that he had there, that he nurtured. He went ahead and killed that off, and he seeded in some cool season grass. So what it took was a ton of applications of Pylex and glyphosate. I really can't speak too much on that stuff. Don't know much about it. So what I can do, though, is my moderator, Aiden, if you could please be so kind, link below to Pete's video that he did back in, I think it was back in October, November. Just look up Pete GCI killing off Bermuda at his shop, because he did a whole in-depth video on it last year. And I'm sure a couple other people like Matt Martin, the Grass Factor, but just go to Pete, man. Pete's got the video there. Pete's the latest resource. Can you do that for me? Okay. Whew, I'm getting tired. Okay. That's funny. Grass is now legal. I know what he's talking about. I'm not even going to get into that. It's not this kind of show. DIY lawn care monster. What's up, man? Welcome to the show. Love the review you and Alan did with the Toro Recycler so much I bought it. Dude, that is awesome. As a matter of fact, I was watching those videos the other day, the ones that him and I did together. We did like 3 videos in one day. We did the Super Recycler versus Recycler comparison. We did the Silverback Gorilla video, and on top of that, he also did a teaser for winter that I thought was pretty funny. But yeah, man, it's fun to go back in time and look at those. Like last night, that's what it was for me. Like a lot of reminiscing of the past, and that's one thing about me, is I'm naturally nostalgic about the past. Like I miss all those old days when Alan and I were neighbors. He used to come over here. I used to go to his house. We used to live like 20 steps away from each other. We'd see each other at least once every 3 weeks because we were so busy. But now it's like once every couple of months. But it's better than nothing. But it's just every time I watch that stuff, this feeling of nostalgia just evokes inside me. Like it reminds me, man, I miss those days. I'm sure some of you guys have been there. But yeah, man, especially now that I'm a senior in high school, I'm halfway done with my last year of high school now. It's really that time. Like it's a year of nostalgia. That's all I have to say. Just a year of nostalgia. All right, I'm talking people away. Let's keep going. I use a sand soil mixture, 30% sand, 60% soil. Turf therapy? Awesome. Yeah, DIY Connor is funny. Get caught up here. We got some good questions coming in tonight, man. We got a big audience. Look, really happy about tonight. All right, Aiden, thank you for the link, by the way. Appreciate you. All right, I want to make sure I didn't miss a few of these. Hey, Connor, what's up, man? How you doing? Sorry I didn't see your comment till now. We were just talking about you. People were asking me about top dressing their cool season lawns, and you're the first person that comes to mind. So just want you to know that, man. And I'm looking forward to seeing you at Lawncology, man. Hopefully this time I can win that fight. I'm not going to let you put me in a headlock this time, bro. You've been warned. All right. Just take a minute. Stoke this fire. Go. That's looking much better, much more lively, right? Keep the we'll put a little oak in there too. Little fresh oak. I already know I'm going to get all the comments. Jake, that creosote's going to build up in your fireplace. Yeah, well, Silverback and I always joke about how we want this house to burn down someday, so it doesn't really. I'm just kidding. But in reality, it's all the wood we have left. I burnt all the dry stuff, so I kind of have to work with what I have right now. I had a couple of questions in here. Jake, my lawn is brown. When it starts to warm up, what fertilizer do you consider? Nathaniel, if you're following my advice, which has been to load the lawn up with nitrogen going into winter, then the amount of nitrogen that you need to give to the lawn coming into the spring is going to be significantly lower than what I've previously recommended. Now, the reason I say that is because we already got a lot of nitrogen in the soil already that's going to be activated once we get into the spring. So there's really no need to overload it with any more. If anything, half pound or lower is I recommend. If you're using Milorganite, like we've always talked about, Milorganite's a great, easy to use organic fertilizer. You could find it pretty much anywhere. You half pound of nitrogen at most for your first application. Now there are a couple of other options you can do if you have not done a late winterizing fertilization like I've recommended. Then your best bet would be to just go with the straight starter fertilizer product or the Milorganite again. But the only difference is the amount of nitrogen. You're going to apply a little more than you would if you did the winterizer. But if you didn't do the winterizer, you want to go as high as 3/4 to a full pound of nitrogen. But of course, the highest I'm going to recommend to you is 3/4. You shouldn't have to go any more than that. The rest will fill in as we continue to apply over time. Make sense? Too much for spot spray. Okay, Maureen. Then you can blanket spray it. Just make sure that you stay within the label directions. Be safe out there. Try not to try to triple rinse your tanks when you're done spraying the herbicides, because if you are using liquid fertility, the last thing you want to do is cross contaminate. And as I've talked about earlier, if you do have more than one sprayer, then I highly recommend that too, because the objective is you want to avoid cross-contamination with your fertility products, which can lead to problems in the long run. So make sure that you stay on top of that and you should be fine. He needs to know where you are and what type of grass. Yes, I do, because I get a ton of people from all over the globe. So yes, Nathaniel, let me know where you're at and I'll help you. Okay, here we go. Clarkville, Tennessee, it's been like 47 to 50 degrees. Well, if you have dormant grass right now and it's warm, like I said, great time to think about soil applications like the Humic 12 we talked about earlier. Great soil-oriented product from Greene County. Put that down, 6 to 9 ounces per thousand, you should be fine. Hey, real quick, this is actually a great audio test right now. My sister's upstairs vacuuming, being the inconsiderate you know what that she is, right? So what do you guys think? The audio should be just centered in around my voice, so you shouldn't be able to hear much of that. We good? Steve, this lawn care stuff is cool and all, but we're in January. Yeah, man, that's the point. Let's start talking about how we're going to be bigger and better than last year in the 2020 season. Not only a new year, but a new decade, right? So let's use this time to talk a game plan. And sorry, I can't help you out with the football, man. I don't follow much of the NFL, man. If I did follow much of the NFL, I would talk about it, but I'm not a big sport guy. Don't have time for it, to be honest with you. So that's your thing. That's cool, but not going to talk much about it. Got audio, all good. Hey, not a critic, but don't say that people are messing with you. You're a nice kid and don't want people to be mean to you, buddy. I try to have a Catholic mindset. Okay, appreciate it. Is he killing the cool season in the spring too? I don't know. Do my own recommends Fusillade for Bermuda grass, and that's a great way to go. Are you always going to be Jake the Lawn Kid, or will you ever be the Lawn Man? Project Garage? You're going to have to stay tuned, because I'm probably going to be a kid till I'm at least 30. I'm just going to tell you right now. But I could see why I probably might want to consider changing it soon, because I don't know. When I try to message a lot of companies and they've never met me before, they're a little skeptic because they think kid. A lot of people like, especially nowadays, when people hear the word kid, they really don't care for it. But you got to legitimize that a little bit. So I don't know. But for now, I'm planning on being a kid for a while. The San Jose Municipal Rose Garden also uses it for their Bermuda grass infestation. It knocked it right out. It's a 5-acre garden. Interesting. Jakey, what is your favorite precinct? That's a tough one. I'm gonna have to say St. John. That's where I live. Hey neighbor, saw the lights the other night from 93rd on my way home. Still looking strong. Matt, appreciate it. They're down now, so if you drive by my house tonight and it looks dark, that's why. But real quick, Matt, we're talking here. You think that was bright? Wait till you see what I got planned for next season, dude. Bigger and better, and not only that, all the way around the house. That's the only hint I'm going to give you guys. We're going to light up the entire perimeter of my house, because my house is pretty much viewed from all 4 sides when you're driving up the main road here. Not so much directly behind, but from far away. So we're going to do some backyard lighting next year too for Christmas. Stay tuned for that. That fire is real? Thought it was a TV. Nope, man. 100% real. That's how we do it around here. What would you recommend for weed control for the spring, summer season? Johnny Palma, great product you could find, especially if you're starting out, is at Home Depot. The all-purpose 3-way weed controls that you could find will be just fine. Just make sure that a couple of things I want to talk about here real quick. I'm not going to go too in depth because I already have a video on it. Aiden, if you could be so kind, like my weed control video below. But to just give you a basic recommendation, it doesn't matter the brand. It's more so the makeup of the product. You want to look for something that has active ingredients, 2,4-D, dicamba, and conclorac. The 2,4-D and the dicamba, those are going to control most of our broadleaf weeds like dandelions, clover, all those types of weeds. And on the other hand, you also want to make sure that you have the conclorac to control the grassy weeds like the crabgrass and the foxtail. Now, keep in mind that you want to make sure that if you are going to control weeds post-emergently, that you get on that as soon as you can, because if you don't, especially if you're trying to eradicate some of the grassy weeds, chances are you're probably going to be too late and the grass will be mature. And because of that, that's going to be more problems for you down the road. Jake, are you going to try any of the Bluegrass Blue Heat from GCI in the coming that he's coming out with? Benjamin, not 100% sure, but we'll be working on something very soon. Steve is falling asleep here. It's all good. I love putting people asleep. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's my soothing quality. Hey, man, if I could put you to sleep, that's great. Probably, especially if you're an insomniac. What'd you have for dinner, Connor? I'm eating it right now. Oven pizza. Good. Turf therapy? Did I miss something from you? Sorry for them. Yeah, the mic's not, I understand, because it is a podcast microphone. It's meant to really capture the audio when you're up on it. So that's probably why you can't hear like the fireplace and the vacuum. But that works perfect for this show, because then you don't have to listen to all the background noise. And if there is a song playing upstairs or whatever that's not registered by YouTube or a third party, then I don't have to get striked with copyright. So it's a win-win for me. But I understand you guys would like to hear the fire crackling. Sorry you can't, but this is just what's going to work for me right now. It's going to work the best. Hey, Jake, do all grasses fill in thin spots on their own, or is it KBG that prepares itself? Mark Hammett, the rye and fescue, those grass types, as I mentioned earlier, they're more of a bunch type. That's really what you use to fill in any bare areas in your bluegrass lawn. So if you happen to have any thin or bare spots in your fescue or ryegrass lawn, then the best bet would be to just seed with more fescue and rye in those bare areas, because the last thing you need to do right now is think about bluegrass. Bluegrass is more of an establishment grass. If you're seeding a brand new lawn or anything along those lines, then that's where bluegrass comes in, because it takes longer to germinate, albeit about 6 weeks for me. But it's perfect because once it's established, you have a full lawn that pretty much repairs itself if you give it the proper TLC that it needs. Can't hear it all. I think that's probably when I walked away. James Morgan, I know. Some people are just so miserable. Got nothing better to do. Like the hacker that hacked my Instagram account the other day. I'm not going to talk much about that because I'm pretty sure that whoever did it wants attention. But what a process that was yesterday, man. I had to deal with everybody messaging me, which is nice. You know, I like talking to all of you. But when it's about a giveaway that I'm not hosting and it's a potential scam, which really is a scam because it's a third party pitching in and sending all those messages. What got to me though is that a lot of people were giving them their addresses. You know, I'm not trying to sound condescending here or anything, but I'm just an 18-year-old kid with 20,000 followers. I'm not that legit to where I give away $1,000. So anybody that's on there, people were literally asking if it was legit. Come on, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't scam you like that. I don't know. Renovated front yard in September and bewitched KBG with tenacity application. Is there any value in an application of image weed control now to knock out the weeds that made it? Or just wait till spring? Bewitched KBG with tenacity application. Super TA329. If you don't mind telling me where you're located and what the grass types are in your area, that would be fine, because I think image is more of a warm season weed control. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. Just based on watching my buddy, the lawn care nut who lives in Florida, I hear him talking a lot about image, but based on what I see, I don't really see a whole lot of image up here in the north. So if there is a northern image blend that I don't know about, please let me know. And then we can go into further diagnostic. I'm tempted to try spring seeding. Is it really that hard? If it is, talk me out of it. James Morgan, it's not hard at all. Like I mentioned in my fall series, you could seed your lawn whenever you want. You could seed in the spring, you could seed in the summer, you could seed in the fall, you could seed in the winter. Just know that either way, you're going to have to make the commitment to water it. And that's really what it boils down to when it comes to whether or not your seed's going to succeed or not. And that is whether or not you're willing to give the water, which brings me to a solution that I have for all of you guys, my JTLK irrigation system. What it is it's a DIY irrigation system that all of my homeowner friends could build on their lawn without having to spend the excess time and labor to put in an actual irrigation system. If you want to check that out, Aiden, please be so kind, my moderator, link that in the chat below. JTLK irrigation system 2019. I highly recommend it for all of you guys out there who are looking to add a little more flexibility to your lawn regimen, and it'll also take away the stress and hassle of having to water every day. So Aiden, leave that below, please. Andy, what's up, bro? Happy New Year. Any winter lawn tips seeing how warm it has been? Andy, yes, I have a couple of videos coming out here. Now, this one that I have coming out isn't really going to be much geared toward the lawn per se. We're going to talk a little more about that in the future, but it's going to be more geared toward a new piece of equipment that I've accumulated over the winter, as well as taking my Christmas lights down. God, who's this Chicago number that keeps calling me? Probably a telemarketer. What about your live tree in the basement? Is it still up? Marine, yes, it is. I actually still have yet to take that down. I'm contemplating on whether or not I should do it right after the show or if I should just wait till tomorrow, because I have quite a doozy tomorrow. I have to shoot I have to shoot the A-roll for this weekend's video. Have to get my lighting set up in my room. Got to get my can lights put in. And on top of that, I also have to get down whatever I didn't get down today. So chances are tonight I'll probably get everything in my room down and put away. But as far as the two Christmas trees, like the real tree here and the big one upstairs, that's going to have to be a project for tomorrow. So yeah, my tree is still up. As a matter of fact, for those of you who didn't see it in the last episode, I don't know how far I can get away from this thing. I don't want to mess with it. But here, let me just show you the tree. There it is. You can see I still lit it up because I still have mine not. You know, Christmas isn't over till the 6th. And quite frankly, I've been very reluctant over the past couple of days. I've been meaning to take it down for a while because usually I'm on this stuff like right after Christmas Day. But it's like, you know what? My Christmas display is getting more advanced. It's like, why not let's leave it up till the end of Christmas as long as we can, right? So that's pretty much what we're doing down here. So everything in here is most likely going to be turned off and taken down tomorrow for my last few free days before I go back to school. So I'll have to admit, though, it's like this time of year, I'm going to be honest with you guys. Tell me if I'm the only one. But when you get to Christmas and you start – but when you're getting closer and closer to Christmas, especially in December, it's like an exciting time, right? Like – all the days before Christmas, it's like a big buildup, right? And then once Christmas happens, that's like the climax, right? Everything starts to go downhill from there. Everybody's taking down all their Christmas lights. Things are just getting more emptier and bare. And it's like, I don't want to say depressed because I don't get depressed, but it's like a very, I don't know, it's like a nostalgic time for me because it's like, man, you know, Christmas was so lively and full, and now here we are inching away from it, and it's like getting more cold and dead and empty because that's pretty much what January and February is here. So I'm sure you guys who are very passionate like I am, very festive with your Christmas light displays, I'm sure you guys understand what I'm saying, right? Like you put so much into it, and then right after Christmas, when the time comes to take everything down, it's like, you know, I don't know if I want to do it yet, but you gotta stay on top of it. Anyway, I went a little off topic there. I'm sorry about that. Got a good crowd in here tonight. 40 people. Awesome. I missed a couple of people. Jake, change your name when you get a man's body. No pun intended. When you fill out, stay young, man. That's funny. I'll try the best I can. That's all I can say. Just a couple. One last question before I go. Nathaniel, fire away. Oh, now I understand. I should leave at least one up, but it's like I can't. I have to get this done. I got a lot of stuff I got to get done before I go back to school here, and I don't want to have to drag this tree out in February. You know what though? I could see so many incubation experiments, especially with the relationship I have with Greene County. I talk a lot with the operations manager over there, Brad, and his wife, Deidre. We talk all the time. He's telling me about all these crazy experiments, which we're going to be doing a few of them here in 2020 here. One of them is going to be out of state, and it's actually going to be in a different it's going to be in a different environment than you guys are used to. So that's going to be exciting. And on top of that, the method of application is also going to be different than any before. It's going to be very convenient for those of you guys who want a nice lawn, but you don't want to be involved with the maintenance, which makes a lot of sense because everybody's got their own interests. So that'll be coming up soon. And going back to the Christmas tree, though, I could see a killer incubation experiment. If we leave this in here for a couple of months, maybe, and fed it 402 floor green, I bet this thing would just flourish in this basement. But it's got to come down. It's got to come down. I can't, because you know what I'm saying? It's like a Band-Aid. If you don't rip it off at some point, it's only going to hurt even more later. So I got to take it down now. That's why we leave the lights up. It's dark and dreary out, so we leave them up. What's the rush? Maureen, there's not really much of a rush to it with the mild weather that we have, but the idea is that when I put my Christmas lights up and we near the time to take them down, I aim for two things. Number one, leave them up as late as I can until Christmas is over. As a matter of fact, it's after January 6th, Three Kings Day, that we stop lighting our Christmas lights if they're still up. But any warm days that we get, like day or two before that, before it gets all cold and snowy, I take advantage of that and I take my lights down, because the last thing I want is to look like a hillbilly having my lights up in spring. So I like to get those down ASAP. So it's not so much about how long I leave them up, but it's if I get a nice day, when I get a nice day, and how long before Christmas, or how long before the end of Christmas is that nice day before I have to go back to school. So that's really what goes into it. It's not so much, a religious thing or anything. I just take them down when the opportunity presents itself. So that's why I get my lights down pretty early. Now this year, latest I left them up after New Year's. Still got like 3 days of Christmas left, but had to get it done. All right. Nathaniel, thank you very much, brother. I appreciate it. Email me. Be happy to talk. RGS and annual flowers. Yes, man, do it. It's only going to help. That small rate of 3 ounces per 1,000, if you're looking for an application rate, is a great way to start off. It's really going to make a difference in those flowers. So go ahead and do it. Molasses has sugars that increase microbial activity that encourages those bugs to help break down excess organic material. Yes, it's real science. It's only the 10th day of Christmas. Yeah, man, I know. But you know what? You got to give me credit, because typically I rip them down right after Christmas Day. So I've always been like that. But now I'm starting to get a little more, I don't want to say religiously involved, because that's a little intense. But I'm starting to become a little more passionate about the holiday itself, because, I love all the aspects that go into Christmas, man. The time with family, the one time of the year where I'm actually able to take a break from things and be present with everybody. And on top of that, building up to the holiday, right? Like that's my favorite part, the process, as I always talk about building up the process, like getting my house the brightest it can be for the holidays, right? That's my favorite thing. Real quick teaser here before we end the show here. We got like 5 minutes, and I'm going to take a couple more questions, and then by 7 o'clock we're out. So real quick, what I want to let you guys know is that I've become very passionate about the holiday. It's one of my things. Oh yeah, here's what I was going to tell you. I'm working, and this isn't official yet, but this is just kind of an initiation of it. I'm working on putting together an 8-episode series of my Christmas light application inside and outside of my house. So it's going to be very in-depth. We're going to have 8 videos, at most 8 videos, maybe 7 at least, based on how I've mapped it out. But it's going to be 8 in-depth videos on all of the aspects to bringing my holiday lighting to display together, because it's going to be very advanced next year. We're going to have more. We're going to get really involved with professional lighting outside, lighting up the whole perimeter of the house. So we're going to talk a lot in depth about my new roof line application. Roof. Adam would correct me. Roof line application with the linkables. We're also going to talk more about the ridge line, right? We're going to talk about ridges and outlining ridges. Also going to talk more about the mid-level stuff like the trees and the garlands around the columns, the ground lights. We're going to do in-depth videos on that, some recommendations for you. And then when we get inside, I'm going to do 2 individual videos on these Christmas trees, maybe one in my room too, and a big one as a big teaser. For those of you guys that are into Christmas villages, because I know I have, this is something that I've done with my grandma since I was like 7 or 8, or as young as I can remember. Her and I, every year we put up a snow village at our house, and we put up this giant snow village in her house, and we do it every season. So this year, for my other grandma, the one who has houses but doesn't really put them up anymore, I was able to get those she gave me all of her old houses, and we're going to be putting a big ass Christmas village up in my living room. So that will be more content coming next year. It'll also allow me to get a little more personal with you guys and how snow villages have touched me in my earlier years. So that will be coming up very soon. So as far as when the series will start, I'm just going to go ahead and tell this to you right now. I'm aiming for early November, so I'm really early. So literally right after Halloween, Christmas decorations are going up, because I have a lot to get across to you in very little time. So we're going to do that in those 8 videos. Stay tuned, starting November 2020. Okay, enough of that. Let's wrap this show up. We got a couple more minutes here. Let's answer some questions before we close out, and then that's it. So DIY, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate it. Appreciate your dedication. You guys are the ones that drive the show. Don't forget that. Leave them up till the end of January. A lot of people drive home from work in the dark, so we leave them up. It gives everybody a lift, but we don't get as cold as you do. Yeah, I'm Maureen. See, that's the thing. When you have a flexible climate like that, you can leave them up later. But like me, the last warm day I get before the last day of Christmas, I'm taking them down. That's how it is around here. So just got to do it. Plus, it's not the end. It's not like the end of the world or anything. I mean, it's going to be weird looking at my house being dark now and having the original porch lights put back in. But there's more to come, man. We got snow. We got snow coming very soon. I could just predict that. And with that snow coming, there's going to be tons of snow thrower videos coming very soon. Stay tuned. Have you done any winter mowing? I've done a couple. Bro, I am way too afraid of winter mowing and losing all my color. Yeah, man. Turf therapy. Let me go ahead and brief you before we got like a minute and a half here before I get off. Let me go ahead and briefly give you guys a little teaser what I'm working on in my backyard. So my backyard's been a little experiment. As you guys know, I typically mow my front lawn this time of year. I just do that because I do it. But my back lawn, I haven't mowed it since mid-October. I haven't mowed it since then. That's when the growth stopped. So I still have plenty of leaf surface, plenty of green color in there that I don't plan on removing. But I'm going to do a video here in a couple of days showing you guys when I actually take the leaves off. Okay, a couple more, and then we're getting off here. Yeah, I find a 3-day. Santa asked Mrs. Claus on Christmas Eve what the weather was and proms for that night. She replied, "Oh, I think it's going to be a reindeer." Yeah, it's a good pun. All right, guys, so it's 7 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead and get off here. I hope you guys enjoyed another episode of Lawn Fires. I know it's getting a little repetitive. I apologize about that. I'm working on ways to bring back the spontaneity that we had in the beginning of this series, because I'm telling you, I'm having a lot of fun growing my production quality, growing my knowledge, and just being able to show you guys. So yeah, man, there's tons more to come. Just stay tuned, subscribe to the channel. We have a ton of great weekly videos coming up here, including my Christmas lights coming down. That video will be coming out on Monday, as well as some other updates to what's going to be happening here in the 2020 lawn season. So, oh yeah, real quick, one more detail I want to go ahead and get out there. If you guys are looking to support me, you want to get some merchandise, all of that information will be in the description below. Again, we don't have an official store yet where I could sell everything, but there are 2 outlets, Amazon and eBay. eBay is primarily where I'm selling the shirts, and Amazon is where I'm selling pop sockets. So if you want to check all that out, links will be in the description below, as well as a bunch of other helpful links to some projects that we've done here on the channel that will answer a lot of the questions that you guys have been asking more in depth. So that'll be there for you. With that, I'm going to go ahead and sign off here. I'm Jake the Lawn Kid. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time. If I don't see you guys next time, your lawn or your house is going to be dominated. See you later.